What's up, Vanguardians? This is Jonathan SP Minim here with a very special video today. This video is actually going to be a recap of my experience at ARG Kentucky this past weekend. And for those who do not know what ARG stands for, it stands for Ultra Reality Games. They are one of the largest, I guess you could say, private-owned business that actually do a lot of circuit series competitions, traveling tournaments, and recently in the last year they really started to develop their Cardfight Vanguard circuit, and I think have been overly whelmed with what has been going on. A lot of their events have been doing very well with attendance and numbers and demand. They hosted one this past weekend in Kentucky, Louisville, and I attended with 4 friends, and a total of 8 of us in a room. 2 rooms, sorry. And I gotta say, the experience in the business and overall what they've done and what they've represented has been very wonderful. The event itself had 38 people, total 6 rounds, with estimation as to where it was supposed to be. Was supposed to be close to anywhere from 65 to 70 people, just based on people who said they were coming. But Mother Nature decided to go and really put a wrench in that wheel and really caused people not to come. We traveled, the five of us total, traveled from Illinois on Friday morning, afternoon, somewhere in there, all the way down to Louisville, and got there kind of before the weather hit, what they were saying. I know a lot of people traveling the morning of, the day of, kind of thing. We traveled beforehand, just because I had the time off, and I wanted to get down there, and I hate traveling the day of. You get exhausted. It takes a lot out of you. I mean, again, that was like 4.5 hours from Chicago, from where I am. It's about 6.5 hours altogether. So it was just a very long trip. Got to meet some wonderful people down there, and locals and things from the community. And it was very exciting to get to meet them. And I'll get into a little bit more about the local the tournament scene in a second, but I want to say that getting there was a lot of fun. We were able to stay the next morning, go to the event about 10 minutes away, and go from there. Again, 38 people altogether, 6 rounds. The reason it was 6 rounds was the I think they wanted to end the Yu-Gi-Oh! In the Vanguard at the same time. And we were at like the 5-person marker, and it was, I think, a way to add time to the event. I think that was 100% why it was done that way. Getting there, signing up, it was great. Some people pre-registered. If you pre-registered, you got a mat with Crimson and Donut on it. I have the mat around here somewhere for entirely different reasons. I'll get into that in a second. And then if you didn't, you got 6 packs. It was like a sneak peek stuff. And I didn't pre-register. I was just too insanely busy to pre-register and get throughout the week. Earlier in the week, I had the stream with JD, and it was just a lot going on with work, because I was working because I was not going to be home the weekend. I was working every day for about almost 2 weeks solid. So it was just a lot of time and energy to go into it. But got my packs and was really excited. I got my decorator sheet. I had to fill all that out because, again, I was too busy to really fill it out. But got my 6 packs, and in my 6 packs, I think it was like the 3rd one in, I pulled, like boss, I pulled Brasta Joker Legion Rare. So immediately starting out the day, that was awesome. Made back my entry plus. It was a good way to begin the day. Fill in my deck registration sheet, and I playing Musketeers, and I'll have a link below to my deck profile. I called the deck the Butler Garden Party. Like, it was funny because when I got there, people were like, "Oh, it's the Neo Nectar guy. Oh my God, it's the Neo Nectar guy," or whatever it was. And I could play meta kind of thing. I've never been a big believer in like always playing what wins. I like decks that do very well. Like a lot of Cat Butler and Kagero decks were there this weekend. I think those were the 2 dominant ones. I think it was like 5 Nova Grappler, 5 Kagero players, and the rest was like 3s, things like that. I had a lot of fun building that deck, my deck, and playing with it. And I gotta say, and the deck for me it was a little bit of a validation point, because playing that deck, and I've been playing it, and I've been known for the deck. I've made a reputation on the deck, and it is my build. Like, it is no one else's. Like, I saw what Japan was doing and completely did something different when that deck first came out, and I was very satisfied with my deck, and it carried me through the entire tournament. I say carried me because it just, like, I get a little emotional about it, but it was like, it just came to me, like, everything that happens, like, when you're so confident with your deck and things naturally take off, and it's not just based on your gimmick, your mechanic, but just naturally things are happening, it feels very validating, and I had a great deal of fun with my deck, and I'm very happy that Musketeers Neo Nectar did so well this past weekend. Me as a player, it is the deck or the clan. I've always been a firm believer that any deck can win, and I'm really happy that I got a chance to shine with it. And I'll get to that in a little bit. The deck itself, to me, Musketeers, was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to play it. 38 people. There was, again, 6 rounds. The day began, 40-minute rounds. The day began with a couple of things. But the biggest one was they didn't have judges. They didn't have staff. The weather really stopped them from having a full staffing. So they weren't live streaming any of the matches like they normally have done in the past. And I think Jim really wanted to, the owner of ARG. He just, again, he couldn't, didn't have staff. They called off. The weather was too treacherous. So I don't blame him for that. And I really wish there was a way for people to record matches. I know a few people recording like the top 8 matches. Personally, I just didn't have time or energy because it just was a lot going on. But I'm going to get right into it, the breakdown of my tournament play. I started out against Genesis player. The match itself was Regalia. It was an interesting match. I don't know if my opponent at first, and maybe if he watches, I feel like he was grade locked at one point, but then he had the grade 3 in his hand. I don't know if he was choosing not to ride. For those who don't know what Musketeers, they're very aggro based, and the poor guy, I think in one of the matches, never got going. I 2-0'd him. I'd be seeing this gentleman again. He would make top 8, and we would play in top 8, and I'll get to all that in a second. Second round was against Cat Butler. I say Cat Butler because if anyone was running anything else, I would call it Nova Grappler, but that's the whole reason why people right now are playing Risers. You run 4 or 5 grade 3s, you run the rest as Cat Butlers, and you just hope to be sacky and do well. I'm not saying the deck doesn't require skill. Like any deck, it does. Just saying that's the gimmick, and, you know, we saw what Japan did with it. We knew what it was capable of, so, again, it's going to continue its dominance, at least, and it did. It was very much a factor the entire day. Again, it was 7 Nova Grappler decks throughout the entire thing, and they were all Cat Butler. This was a weird match. First match, won. Second match, lost. Game 3 went to time. I had less damage. I won. It was a very back and forth match. In Game 3, again, it just ended with that way. I mean, it could have been anyone's game. I don't know. Raphael, I owe you a match. I said this. That's how it came down to. Game 3 was that was 2-1. It was Game 3, or 3 matches. Game 3 was against Kagero Perdition Rebirth. Interesting. I didn't know people were playing Rebirth. I mean, again, when you have all these Legion abilities, it's pretty good, and there were some weird choices across the board for Kagero players. I got to look at the deck lists, and, you know, some people weren't playing pure Legion, which, you know, I admire. Like, you're not running all of it, but at the same point, it was just interesting enough. So, same situation. Went 3 rounds. First round, he was grade locked, I think, at 0. I felt really bad. And Musketeers just kept rushing and rushing, and eventually he was able to get out of it, but it was too late. Game 2, he won. It was just down to, I think, ending just better. You know, it was just a good match. And Game 3 was the same thing. I think I ended with Vera just going off. He had to ride Rebirth. It was an option to ride Rebirth. He had Perdition Overlord. He called it to the rear guard and locked it. I was shocked that he did that. But he Rebirth, stood, didn't do anything really. I think the second time maybe got a crit. just went back in, rushed, power, aggressive, never stopped. And that's a huge thing. So at that point, I was 3-0. Going into the 4th round, I played a wonderful Nova Grappler player. It was just a really bad match. I think at that point my deck was like, we're taking a break. We're done. We were 3-0 for you for a while. I never drove check a trigger on any of it. I only took defensive triggers. I never got heals that game. And I'm not making excuses. I'm not one of those people like, I'm usually one of those people like Greylock happens, it happens. But the fourth match was just really bad. Like normally I can hold up against Cat Butler because I can rush them to the point where I do as much damage as they do in the respect, early game where they're not usually rushing early game anymore. The Nova Grapple used to be very good early rush. Just you need your stuff for Legion to go off, and that's the slow part of the deck is the first maybe 2 or 3 turns. And then what happened after that was second game, same situation, just wasn't getting. I think I got stand triggers. There wasn't enough to apply any pressure. So I lost 0-2. Not dissatisfied with the whole thing. It just, first loss of the day. Deck kind of crapped out, took a break. It happens. Round 5 was Pure Kagero. Perdition's deck. Lost 0-2 in that one. The guy who I played was the guy who won the whole event. And only lost once in the entire day. And I can't remember what he lost to. Very good player. I think his name's Ben Tolls. Really fun guy. I tried messing with him earlier, like jokingly. And I call Kagero decks cookie cutter. I'm like, so when you make that deck, we're in the kitchen, maybe near the cookie cutters, and he just looked at me like I was insane, or like, how dare you, insult my deck? And I think if anyone knows me, I'm just trying to have fun. I think at that stage in the game where you're at, you should be having fun, and there should be a level of serious competition. But I think the locals probably thought I was nuts the entire day because I'm singing to myself while playing. I'm trying to lighten the mood because it gets very serious, and I think that's when I lose my ability to concentrate. It's when I'm over concentrating. So trying to have fun. Again, I don't know if the locals had as much fun as I did. But same situation. My deck kind of just crapped on me. I was getting stand triggers and Sylvia's and not what I needed. And it happens. It really does. It's you're not going to always play perfect. You're not going to always get what you want. But so I went from 3-2 by round 5. They did round 6, and I went up against another Kagero deck. This one was Perdition Dote, and it was really interesting. I 2-0'd the guy. I felt really like he had like this great backup plan that I think no one was expecting was the Dote, and I think he had burnouts, but he never was able to use them. I rushed him so fast and so vigorously with so many different aspects, and then I think to end the whole thing, and even he said was I double critted him at 4 damage. It was or 3 damage. It was done. And going into that round, I was ranked 8th place. So going into the 6th round, I was kind of in a bubble. I didn't know if I was going to make top 8. I didn't know if I was going to be, like right below it. There's some great players. The Nova Grappler guy I lost to, he lost to my friend Jonathan Gall, who actually had the best record of all. He went undefeated in Swiss, and he lost to him in the 5th round, and then he got knocked down to the 6th round against someone else, and he got down paired, and when he got down paired, he lost, and it was, I think, to a Cat Butler deck. And he was playing Cat Butlers. It was mirror match. And mirror match is hard with the same situation. Cat Butler makes it so no deck has an advantage per se. Like, you're sitting at 3 damage and your opponent's got Cat Butler lurking in the back. Your odds are better taking the attack than trying to guard it, because there's just so much disadvantage you have at that point in the game. And I think the guy took the attack, and I think he just got critted. It happens. It's very much Cat Butler that's why it's good. It makes you either play stupid or makes you play logically, where you're thinking, okay, just don't drive check a crit and I'll be fine, and then I can do the same thing to you if you're in the mirror match. But I think he lost and he got down paired, and then he got knocked down after top 8 was announced to like 11th place. So it was really interesting. So after that, we're sitting around waiting for Jim to announce the top 8 standings. And he calls over and he goes, okay, so I'm going to announce the top 8 and we're going to post the listings, and then you have like 5 minutes to make sure everything's confirmed. The moment he goes over the post, he goes, oh, by the way, I'm going to need you to judge the top 8. And I was like, oh, I didn't make it. I put my head down, I kind of like walked away, and I'm like, dun, dun, dun. I had like this whole Charlie Brown thing, and I'm like, oh, damn it, I knew, 2 losses against 2 people who did really well up until, the final rounds. It really sucked, and, I was kind of like, okay, didn't make top 8. I did play very well. I went 4-2, and then he starts going over the announcements of, who won. He goes 1, 2, 3. First was Jonathan Gall. Second was, hold on 1 second, I have it here. Jonathan Gall, he was running Dimensional Police. Aaron Nedabai, fellow admin of the Vanguardians, he was running Cap Butler. Michael Liu, who was the Genesis player who I beat in the first round. Richard Leon, who was running Cap Butler, who was with me. So that's so far 2 people that were in my caravan. Ben Tolles, who won the event, who was a local player. And then he goes 6th place is Jonathan, and it was me, and I'm like, like running around, like, get out of my chair, and I got in the top 8, and I'm like, I was super excited that I got in the top 8, and like, it was a very validating, going 4-2 and not being the bubble per se, which is really exciting, but yeah, it was really good, and getting announced to 6th place, wasn't even the bottom 8, which is fine by me. I was just very happy and honored to have played and got to that point. And then he announced 7th as Michael Fuller, who I did play. He was a Kagero player. He was the one playing the Rebirth, so he made it. And last but not least was David Lee. He was playing Nova Grappler. He was playing Cap Butler as well. So 3 Cap Butler, 2 Perditions, and then 1 Genesis, 1 Neonectar, and 1 Dimensional Police were in the top 8. Get the top 8 pairings. It was 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. I play again. I played Michael Liu again. And we go 3 rounds. I think won the first one. I can't remember. He got wise to the act of what my deck does and how I play, and he played a little more defensively and was using quintet walls and getting his soul filled up with the combos. And I think the one time I was able to Vera and live and do the effect to just, again, apply so much pressure where 27 columns on the rear guards and things was just too much for him to guard, and I won. But then it came down to the final match was really good. I mean, it was really, no one got grade lock, no one had any issues. I think our grade lock was an issue at all that day, really, for me. And then what ended up happening was he just was in the position where I was at like 4 damage, and he was able to Soul Blast. I couldn't get him to drop the cards he needed, and the cards that were needed to make it pressureful, where he would have to drop them and he would not be able to Soul Charge. I think it was like the grade 1 or grade 2 that when it placed on the rear guard, Soul Charge 3 Regalia from the drop zone to the deck, and I couldn't get him to drop the cards. Knowing he had a couple of them, I just couldn't do it, and that's what killed me. I think I took the rear guard tack open for a heal, just maybe have enough to guard, and if he didn't drive check triggers, and it was not heal. So it was an outstanding match, and I congratulate that man. Played pretty fine, and getting to see him play, effectively was really good, and good job, sir. Richard Leon lost, and so did Gall, undefeated, lost, so none of us went on to the top 4, and the top 4 then was 2 Nova Grappler players, 1 Kagero, and 1 Genesis, and then the Nova players played, and the Kagero Genesis played, and then it became Aaron Nedabai and Ben Tolles in the finals, and Ben ended up winning. It just came down to killing Cap Butlers. The guy knew, he had to get rid of him. He had to either take hits and get rid of him, wait until he get rid of him, and so forth. And it just became a matter of that. So overall, Ben, again, won with Perditions, 38 people. And his deck was beautiful. It was all Legion Rare for what he could Legion Rare. At one point, my friend Richard, he drove check the Grade 2 Neoflame, then drove check Vortex, and it was all shiny, and Richard Leon goes, that was an $80 drive check, and it was really beautiful, and the guy had it, man. He lost once and then all day, and I don't remember what he lost to, but did phenomenal. And everyone's sitting there going, oh my God, Perditions won. Well, if you look at the field, what was there, really Cap Butler should have been the deck that would have won. I mean, he was kind of the underdog in many ways. He wasn't. I mean, meta deck, yes, and I call it a helmet deck or a cookie cutter deck, but I've played 3 Kagero players all day and only lost to one of them, and that was the guy who won. So I never think Kagero is unbeatable. I think Kagero's got some great advantage, but again, not unbeatable. Drove the next day after all that was said and done. Sorry, when you topped, you got these beautiful mats. They did a really, I can't see it. It's Dote Crimson. Somewhere in there, say top 8. Sorry, there you go. So I got one of those. When you top 8, you get these tokens. 4th through 8th or 5th through 8th get 10-point tokens, and then it goes up in increments, so forth. And cash prizes. I think I got $25 store credit through Ultra Reality Games, which is exciting. Plus, you get your invite, and you get your invite to nationals. And then if you get 20 tokens, it pays for your entry. So a friend of mine who said he could not go, he owed me from the trip, so he gave me his, Richard Leon. So I owe him. So now I have my invite, my paid admission. If I keep acquiring those tokens, I can actually use them to get for buys within the ARG championship. So I think it's like 50 for a first round buy, and I'm going to try to go to a few more events and get those tokens. They're really worth it, guys. I mean, if you're out there and you want the better competitive scene, ARG offers it. So overall, very fun and exciting. And then the next day, we visited, after the event was all said and done, we visited Paraworld Gaming, the local scene, where actually a couple of those guys had gone. Visited. It was a great shop. If you ever get a chance to go there, please do so. It was really worth seeing and kind of exploring. And then we drove home, and it was a late night, and got back and returned to a ton of messages and notifications and things. And I'm sorry if I haven't answered them. I will try to get back to them as soon as possible. So thanks for watching, guys. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to message me. But definitely I'll be posting my deck list again from my channel under the description down below. And again, if you get a chance to go to Ultra Reality Games, ARG, go. Have fun. Like, it's 2 out of 3 format. I mean, we don't have that with Bushiroad in what they offer, so it definitely is the nice way to get the competitive scene that we lack. So again, thank you for watching. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, comment, like this video below, and as time goes on, I'll try to do more events and do more recaps. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.